My name is Daniel, and I was 17 years old when this happened. It took place on March 14th, 2023. The day started like every other day. I woke up, prepared for school, greeted my parents, and went through my usual morning routine. But by the end of the day, I had discovered an old Bible hidden in a dusty corner of our house, and that discovery changed my entire life. I didn't understand it yet, but trouble was already forming around me. A simple act of picking up a forgotten book pushed me into a situation filled with fear and pressure I had never faced before. I grew up in a simple home. My parents worked hard, lived quietly, and taught my siblings and me to respect others, stay humble, and focus on education. We were not involved in strong religious practices, but kindness and good behavior were important to us. My father spent long hours in a small workshop, while my mother filled the house with calmness and gentle instructions. We lived an ordinary life, nothing too bright, nothing too dark, just steady and peaceful. School was a priority. I wasn't the smartest boy, but I cared about learning. I loved reading stories, solving little puzzles, and understanding new things. Life for me was school, chores, friends, and football. I never imagined my life would hold anything unusual. I felt safe in my routine, unaware that everything was about to change. That afternoon, when I found the old Bible behind a cabinet, I felt curious. Its cover looked aged, the pages slightly brown, but something inside me felt drawn to it. I sat down quietly and began to read a few lines. The words felt warm, peaceful, and strangely alive. I didn't know why, but my heart felt different, as if something important was beginning. Not long after, someone in the house, a distant relative who had been staying with us, walked in and saw me holding the Bible. The look on his face changed so quickly that my stomach tightened. His eyes were sharp and filled with something heavy. He didn't need to shout. The tension in his voice was enough to make my hands shake. He told me I shouldn't be reading such things. He revealed to me that people in our extended family believed owning a Bible could bring problems and turn the family against each other. He showed me a type of anger I had never seen in him before, an anger born from fear. He kept telling me how I had made a mistake, how I should stay away from that book, and reading it could bring me trouble I wasn't ready for. His words came like waves, strong, cold, and overwhelming. It felt like the walls in the room were closing in. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was being watched, judged, and pushed down for something I didn't even fully understand. I tried to explain that I was only curious, but the more I spoke, the more upset he became. His presence felt heavy, like a weight pressing on my chest. My hands trembled, and fear began to spread through me. I didn't understand why reading a book could cause so much tension, or why a simple interest in faith could make someone so threatened. That moment was the beginning of everything: the confusion, the pressure, the emotional struggle. I didn't know it then, but the fear I felt that day was only the first step in a much deeper journey, and all of it started from the simple act of opening a Bible I didn't even know existed. When I look back now, I understand that the trouble did not hit me suddenly. It grew around me, little by little, until I could feel it breathing on my neck. From the moment my relatives saw me with the Bible, everything about the house changed. The air felt heavier. The rooms felt smaller. Even the sound of footsteps in the hallway made my chest tighten. He began watching me, not in a caring way, but in a way that made me feel like I had done something wrong. He told me that people like us were not supposed to read such books. He revealed to me that families in our background preferred to stay away from anything that looked spiritual or faith-related. He showed me the kind of fear adults carry, fear that turns into anger because they do not know what else to do with it. Every morning after that, I woke up with a knot in my stomach. I could feel the tension before I even left my room. Sometimes I heard him moving around, opening and closing doors harder than usual. The sound alone made my heart jump. School became the only place where I could breathe normally. But even there, I could not escape the feeling that trouble was waiting for me at home. It became worse the day he searched my room. I still remember walking in and seeing my books on the floor, my clothes pulled out, and the Bible missing from where I had hidden it under my school bag. When he stepped out from behind the door, the look on his face made my whole body freeze. He told me that he was checking for things that could cause problems in the house. He revealed to me that he was worried I would let this new interest take over my mind. He showed me a kind of authority that made me feel very small. The fear I felt was not because he hurt me, it was because I felt trapped, emotionally trapped. It was the fear of being controlled, watched, and judged for something I didn't fully understand yet. It was the fear of losing my own voice. One evening, while my parents were away, he cornered me in the hallway. The light was dim, coming only from a small bulb, and his shadow fell over me. He told me that if I continued, people outside would turn against me. He revealed to me that I might be pushing myself into danger without knowing it. He showed me stories from his own life, stories of how some relatives had reacted harshly to anything related to faith. His voice was low and tense, and even though he wasn't shouting, every word felt like a heavy stone being placed on my chest. I wanted to tell him that I wasn't trying to cause problems. I wanted to say that I had only been curious. But every time I opened my mouth, fear swallowed my words. It felt like my thoughts were stuck inside me, knocking on the walls of my throat, begging to come out. The worst part was feeling alone. My parents did not know what was happening behind closed doors. I didn't want to worry them. I kept thinking that things would calm down if I just stayed quiet. But they didn't calm down. They only grew. I remember one night lying on my bed, staring at the ceiling. My room felt colder than usual. I could hear my relative walking around the house, his footsteps slow and deliberate. I curled up, wishing I could disappear. I felt helpless and confused, wondering why something that made me feel peaceful on the inside was causing so much trouble on the outside. Every day became a test. I walked carefully, spoke carefully, breathed carefully. I felt like one wrong move would make everything crash down on me. And even though no one harmed me physically, the emotional weight felt like carrying 1,000 silent fears on my back. Little did I know that the pressure was only building. What came next would push me into the hardest moment of my life, one I was not prepared for, but one that would change me forever. Everything built slowly, like dark clouds gathering for a storm. I could sense that something was wrong from the moment I woke up. The house was unusually quiet, the kind of quiet that makes you feel like someone is watching you. I felt it in my stomach, a tightness I couldn't explain. My relative had been colder than ever in the days before. He spoke less, but when he did, his words carried a sharpness that made me want to disappear into the walls. He told me I was becoming a problem. He revealed to me that I was choosing a path that brought danger into the house. He showed me fear disguised as anger, and that fear clung to me more than anything. That afternoon, when my parents stepped out to take care of something important, he confronted me again. His steps were firm, almost too firm, and the look on his face made my legs weak. I could feel my heartbeat pulsing in my ears. He told me that he had warned me enough times. He revealed to me that I had crossed a line by keeping the Bible, even after he searched my room. He showed me that he believed strong action was the only way to stop me. I tried to step back, but he blocked the hallway. The air felt heavy, like the walls were closing in. I could not run. I could not call out. I could not think clearly. My feet felt glued to the ground. All I could do was watch as he moved me toward the outside of the house. The sun was setting, and the fading light made everything look strange and cold. He led me toward a small area behind our compound where the ground was soft from recent rain. My chest tightened. My breath became shaky. I remember the smell of wet soil and how my shoes sank slightly with each step. Every part of my body felt stiff, as if fear had turned my bones into stone. He told me that sometimes people needed to be taught lessons in ways they would never forget. He revealed to me that he believed removing me from the house would save the family from trouble. He showed me a decision made from fear, not from reason, and that decision landed heavily on my shoulders. Everything after that felt like a blur of panic. He didn't hurt me, but he forced me into a small pit that had already been dug earlier for another purpose. It wasn't deep enough to injure me, but it was deep enough to trap me. The cold soil brushed my clothes and arms. The sky above me looked like a fading circle. The fear inside my chest grew so quickly that I felt I might faint. He covered the top loosely, not enough to seal it fully, but enough to hide me and make me unable to climb out. The space became dim, and the scent of the wet earth surrounded me. I could still breathe, but the air felt different, heavier, like it belonged to another world. My heart pounded so loudly that I wondered if he could hear it from above. The moment I realized I could not move freely, something inside me broke. My hands shook uncontrollably. My throat felt tight. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. It was not pain I felt, it was helplessness. It was the feeling of being trapped, cut off from help, cut off from light, cut off from everything I knew. Time passed in a way that made no sense. I didn't know if it was minutes or hours. I only knew that fear covered me more than the soil did. I kept thinking of my parents, wondering if they would come back soon, wondering if they would notice I was missing. I wondered if I had made a mistake by opening the Bible, even though something inside me whispered that it had been the right thing. My thoughts became blurry. My hands were dusty. My knees were trembling. I felt cold even though the air outside was warm. I whispered small prayers in my mind, not knowing if anyone could hear me. I wondered if God cared about boys like me. I wondered if this moment would be the last chapter of my life. But deep inside the fear, there was a quiet, tiny hope, like a small light inside a dark room. I held on to that light with everything I had left. I didn't know it then, but help was already on its way, and the way it came would be something I could never forget. In the days that followed, I rested and tried to understand everything. The Bible I found was returned to me, and I kept it safely. Whenever I opened it, I felt peace, not fear. It reminded me that even in dark places, hope is never fully gone. If there is one thing I learned, it is this: faith can bring trouble, but it can also bring strength. And sometimes, when it looks like the world has turned against you, God sends help in ways you can't even imagine. And now, if you are reading this, I want to speak to your heart. Please pray for people around the world who are suffering because of their faith. Many are fearful, many are hurting, and many are holding on to hope just like I did. Your prayers matter. And if you want to give your life to Jesus, you can do it right now. Just speak to Him in your heart in a simple way. Tell Him you want to turn away from your sins. Tell Him you believe He loves you and wants to save you. Tell Him you want Him to guide your life from today onward. Tell Him you accept His forgiveness and choose to follow Him. He hears you, He sees you, and He loves you more than you realize.